Afade, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with the Candidates. I'm Clint Rangel here at the beautiful Leo Palace Resort in the rolling hills of Menangan in the lush landscape of the Menangan Valley. I'll be joined with AJ Balahaja, who's a candidate for senator, as well as senatorial candidate and incumbent Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Coffee with the Candidates. I'm Clint Rangel, joined here with AJ Balahaja, who's a candidate for senator here at the Leo Palace Tenku restaurant. So AJ, let's start with some fun questions. First of all, Netflix or Hulu, what's on cue for you?
It's Netflix. I don't have a Hulu account, but my kids, there's a lot of great things for kids on Netflix, and so it's children friendly, so that's what we have at the house.
A lot of kids, so Netflix for kids.
Netflix.
All right, same here. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Well, the choice of ice cream at our house is mint chocolate chip.
Oh wow, my kids like that too.
Yeah, it's fresh and it's a good ice cream. If I can get my hands on it after my kids have gotten to it.
Your favorite music genre or song?
It's always been R&B. You know, love songs, and yeah, it's always been that.
And what is your favorite food?
Local food, Chamorro food. It's always been my favorite. But you know, I grew up on Mexican food. My grandmother's Mexican, and so I have an appetite for that as well.
Do you have a specific dish?
On the Mexican or the Chamorro side?
Either.
Well, on the Chamorro side, it's always, you know, kadu. Kadu is a comforting food for me, and I can eat that any time of the day.
Mexican side?
Mexican side, I'd have to go with taquitos, you know, something that's not too heavy, but has a lot of guacamole and sour cream, and I can throw a ton of salsa on top of that, so I like that as a...
What are your hobbies?
My hobbies? Well, you know, I don't have much free time, but when I do, I like to get on my motorcycle and ride around the island and go through the different villages, as well as droning and photography.
So now, sort of related question, what do you do for leisure or fun, aside from those hobbies that you sort of mentioned there?
Well, you know, weekly, my father-in-law likes to get together with the family and barbecue, and that's usually my downtime and time to just put everything aside and just talk story and just laugh and hang out with the family.
Awesome. All right, and finally, let's get into some more serious questions now. Stuff that I'm sure a lot of voters want to know and are interested to know about you. Why are you running for office?
Well, one of the biggest reasons I'm running for office is, as you know, 32 years of being in law enforcement and working as a public servant. You know, there comes a time in your career that you need to either move on or retire. I think that with my experience being in law enforcement, I've seen a lot of legislation that has come through and become law, and we've had to enforce that as police officers as it relates to public safety. I'd like to be that person that actually introduces legislation because I see how it affects law enforcement and the community together and not just individually. So I'd like to be that catalyst, if you will.
So tell us a little bit about your education experience that you have that you believe will help you, if elected senator, to create public policy and create and write laws.
Well, again, you know, the experience with the police department to see how some bills are introduced and crafted and then become law. I've had the great opportunity of being a part of that process and throughout my career. And so, and how I see that how it affects the community as a whole. I think that I have that experience to be able to work with others, and you know, and the great thing about the process is that I wouldn't be introducing anything that is just coming right off the cuff, of, you know, out of without consulting with the experts, such as people that it's going to affect, law enforcement and people in the community.
And you certainly have a lot of experience in law enforcement, right? All right, so now tell us about some of the issues that you find important to you.
Well, you know, as a father, a husband, and just one of the guys in the community, my important issues are similar to everybody else's. You know, I'm really concerned about crime and, you know, public safety. You know, that's who I am. But certainly, it's not limited to being concerned about the education of our children, you know, healthcare and the condition of our hospital, and making sure that that all of our people are treated fairly when it comes to, you know, healthcare. So, you know, there's a lot of things that are concerning to me. Our environment, you know, is also another concern. I want to make sure that the island stays pristine for our children.
Now, what are some specific pieces of legislation you'd like to introduce?
You know, I've played around with that quite a bit because there's just so much. I've got so many ideas. But I know that there are a few things that I would like to revisit, and one of them would be a part-time legislature and also term limits.
What kind of term limits are you thinking?
Well, you know, I think that if you are in office for a few terms, I think that you should step out, you know, take a break, and you can run again. But I think that the people of Guam should have a bigger pool of candidates to pull from.
Now, what are some of your goals of elected senator, aside from, you know, you sort of spoke about what issues are important to you, some legislation you'd like to introduce, like the term limits, etc. Any other specific goals you have for yourself if elected senator?
Well, you know, I would like to make sure that, or ensure that any legislation coming out of my body would be, is that the right term? My body.
Legislative body. Yeah.
Correct. Right. So, you know, any legislation that comes out of my committees would be legislation that isn't a quick fix or band-aid, if you will, to a current situation that's going on our island. I'd like to see that we think wisely and we introduce legislation that's going to be a overall fix, and so that we don't have to revisit and waste the taxpayers' money and addressing the issue later.
Now, here's some other questions. We're going to talk about some topics that are of controversy. You know, throughout the island, people tend to have different views on both sides of the coin. Are you for or against raising the minimum wage?
Well, I look at minimum wage as being a starting point for a new employee, if you will. If a company provides medical benefits, dental benefits on top of minimum wage, I'd like to perhaps, as the economy gets better, revisit that. So I would not be in support of raising the minimum wage if those benefits are there. However, with that said, if the minimum wage is the only thing that the employee has and has to seek benefits such as medical and dental on their own, then I would be in support of raising the minimum wage.
Right, and here's an interesting one for you, being in law enforcement. Medical marijuana. Now, medical marijuana was legalized. It hasn't been implemented yet. Do you think it should be implemented?
I think it should be implemented. I think that people that need their medicines and are prescribed their medicines should be able to get access to their medicines. With that said, I would like to be sure that when we implement this, it's implemented correctly, and so that we don't have to go back again and waste taxpayers' money and try to fix what we should have addressed in the beginning. So I don't know if there's a need to rush, but I would like to see it implemented.
And what about full legalization, recreational marijuana?
You know, that's a tough one, but my feeling as a person that has been in law enforcement for 32 years is I'm not in support of full use of recreational marijuana. I see how drugs have affected our community and some of the crimes that we've dealt with, and it would be a contradiction of who I am, so definitely not in support of recreational marijuana.
And now gay marriage is now legal. We know in the States there's been some people who have refused to marry gay couples. As a senator, would you be willing to marry a gay couple?
Just like in law enforcement, you know, I swore to serve and protect and follow the laws of Guam, and I've done that for 32 years. And as a senator, if I'm privileged enough to become a senator, I will do the same. And if something is legal, such as gay marriage, then I will be right there to enforce it and provide that service.
Self-determination. Do you think Guam should vote for it now, or should we wait until more people are educated, the community is more educated to do it, or should we do it right away?
You know, this topic has been on the back burner for many governors. It's gone through many governors, you know, and I think that it's time that we look at a plebiscite and we look at getting it moving. With that said, again, you know, I think that we need to educate our community. We need to make sure that they understand the different statuses and how that's going to affect our people. So I believe that we should implement it soon, you know, or rather we should have a plebiscite soon. But I also think that we need to really educate our public.
And what would you vote for if you had to vote today?
If the plebiscite was held today, I would lean more towards free association. That way, we'll still have a very close relationship with the U.S. and we'll be able to plot, you know, our ideas and who we are as people. But no matter what the outcome of a plebiscite is, what the voters decide our status to be, I will support that 100%.
Finally, your pitch. Why should people vote for you?
You know, I think that people that know me know what kind of person I am and the character that I have. I have a lot of great ideas. I want to continue to give to the community and work on making sure that our island is a better place for our children. And so with that said, I just want to be sure that, man, I just have so many ideas. But if I'm privileged enough to get a voter's vote out of 15, I want to be able to let them know that with confidence that they didn't waste their vote, that I'm going to be the kind of senator that makes sure that when there's legislation that's introduced, it's going to be funded, it's not going to be something that we're going to have to come back and fix, and that when a decision is made on the floor, it's a decision that's made by me because I'm representing all of the people all of the time, and not just some of the people some of the time.
AJ, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Coffee with the Candidates. I'm Clint Rogel here with Senatorial candidate AJ Balahaja, the Tenku Restaurant, the Leo Palace Resort. And welcome back to Coffee with the Candidates. I'm Clint Rogel here with Senatorial candidate Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. and incumbent Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. We are here at the beautiful Leo Palace Resort in the lush landscape of the Menengan Valley at the Tenku Restaurant. Thanks for joining us. All right, Senator, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right, so let's start out with some fun questions first.
Sure.
We were asking all the candidates, what do you have on queue on Netflix or Hulu?
I got Royal Pains. I got Royal Pains and also watching old episodes of Scandal.
Oh.
So waiting for the new ones to come out.
Right on. All right, and your favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate. It's gotta be chocolate.
Ah,
Absolutely.
Chocolate. Love chocolate. Your favorite music genre and song?
You know, I like island music, a lot of island music, Chamorro music specifically.
Nice.
Yes.
And favorite food?
Favorite food? It's gotta be the so much, you know, so much food. So I guess I'll choose my the all-time favorite. I always ask my mom to cook me is the kare kare, the peanut butter soup dish.
Nice.
Yes.
That sounds good. Do you have any hobbies?
Yes, I've found a new hobby about a year ago, and it's gardening. So I got my own garden at home, planting our good vegetables.
That's nice. And now this is sort of a related topic, but you know, what do you do? What does Senator Rodriguez do for leisure or fun?
We have a lot of, we have not a lot, but we have two young boys. Our older daughter is, she's going to be 21 now, but the boys love to go to the beach, so we love, every time we get a chance, we go to the beach and just hang out. So that's something we do for our fun.
Same here. I bring my family to the beach all the
That's
time.
right.
My daughter and my son love the beach. Beach babies.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Now let's get into the more serious questions. These are the questions that a lot of voters want to know.
Sure.
How you feel about certain things and what you think. Why are you running for office again? Obviously, you're an incumbent, but
Yes.
why did you decide to run again?
Yeah, well, I'm finishing up my third term, and God willing, if I'm blessed to serve another term, I want to continue some of the initiatives that I've started now. As you know, last year we've issued a report on the GMH task force that I put together a report, and we put together a real focused 10-point plan that really is going to address not just the challenges of the hospital, but healthcare in general. And so these are some of the plans that I wish to continue and hope to be able to accomplish in the 34th Guam Legislature.
All right. Now, this question is sort of meant a little bit more for newcomers who are
Sure.
running for office. Obviously, you're an incumbent, but I think it's still something that we can ask you, which is what kind of education and experience do you have? That obviously you have experience as a
Sure.
senator already.
Sure.
So maybe you can tell us some stuff that maybe the voters don't know about your educational background and your experience.
Sure. Aside from the educational background or the experience now, as you said, as being a senator now for completing my third term, I always go back to what it is that drives me every day and what I use to make my decisions. And that's being a father. That's being a father to our three kids, being a husband. And when I make decisions that sometimes, most of them very difficult, I always look out for their future, the future of our kids and our community. So I think if it's the experience, to me the most important is being a father and being a husband, because in everything we do there's consequences, and we have to ensure that whatever it is we decide, it's going to be a good decision for the benefit of all future generations.
Now, what kind of issues are important to you? This is sort of related, obviously, issues that would affect, like you said, future generations.
That's
But maybe
right.
you can expound upon that. What
Sure.
issues are important to you?
Sure. I've been really focused on healthcare in our community, and over the course of my time in the legislature, really got to understand and know what the challenges are, and what it is really is access to care, access to healthcare. And I'm hoping that if I'm given the opportunity again to serve in the legislature, that we can expand the access to healthcare, expand the health insurance pool of our community, because we know that prevention and primary care is really very key to preventing serious illnesses. So if we catch an illness early on stage, you're able to treat it early. Number one, it's less costly. But number two, there's more of a chance that that individual can recover. And so that's really one of the focus that I would like to be able to do and expand on in the next term.
Awesome. All right. And this is sort of related again, but just a little more specific.
Sure.
Obviously, a three-term senator?
Yes.
Third term. So if reelected and
Yes.
you get to do a fourth term, what would you like to do specific legislation-wise? What kind of specific legislation would you like to introduce in your upcoming fourth term if given the opportunity?
Yes. So it goes back to the expansion of health insurance. It's going to have to be legislated. Right now, we're working with stakeholders. We're working with employers, because we know that still, especially our small business owners, don't provide health insurance to their employees. And I was a small business owner at one point. My wife is still a small business owner today, and we know it's hard. When you don't make enough revenue to be able to, number one, first afford to even pay an employee, but number two, to add benefits, it's going to be hard. So it's going to take some innovation. It's going to take some working with the stakeholders to make it happen. And we're hoping that we can get something done this term, but it's very complex and very it's something that really needs to be worked on together with the industry, right? So that's something we're looking at being able to do.
Now, are you saying by expanded healthcare, are you talking universal healthcare along those lines?
Yes, I sometimes I don't like using the word universal health care, but it really is. It's a right that every man, woman, and child needs to be able to have access to health care. And so working together, I believe that we'll be able to accomplish that.
Are you for or against raising the minimum wage?
I'm for it in a more responsible way. We've done it already once. I know that there's efforts to raise it again. However, we have to be responsible, just like we're doing with the expanded health insurance. We got to be able to work with the business community. And because if we do it, we don't want to artificially say we're going to do it, and then the business community, the employers cut their times, cut other benefits, including health insurance. So we have to be responsible in raising the minimum wage.
And now, medical marijuana. That's a topic everyone has been talking about a lot lately,
Right.
and I think a lot of it is because coming up in November, it'll be 2 years
Sure.
since the voters voted to legalize medical marijuana, and still nothing's been implemented. Do you think something should be done to implement it soon? And if so, what?
Yes, absolutely. We have a responsibility to make it happen, regardless of what our position was. And Clint, or you may know that I wasn't a supporter of medicinal marijuana. However, now that our people have voted for it, I'm doing everything I could to make it happen. Senator Barnes is leading that charge now with the several bills that she's introduced. I've met with stakeholders, the proponents of this, and we've agreed that we need to work this out. And I know it's kind of disingenuous to say let's take our time because this is very complex, because it's been 2 years. But we really do need to be very careful and make sure that we do it right. And we're very close to be able to making it happen. So working together, we have to make it happen.
What about, what are your thoughts on full legalization of recreational marijuana?
I don't support it. However, again, if that is a desire of our community, of our people, then that's something we're going to have to deal with. I do, in speaking to the proponents now, I've talked to them. I said, look, if the desire is to go that route and do a full recreational, full decriminalization of it, I think we've got to have that conversation now, because that would really shape how we move forward in determining the rules and regs for the medicinal use of marijuana. So I've talked to them, and hopefully if we can make a determination of what the desire is, I think that's something we need to be able to address now.
All right. And do you think Guam should vote for self-determination now? Should we wait until later, until more people are educated on the topic, or should we just do it as soon as possible?
Yes to all of that. I think, our people have a right to self-determination and should vote on it. But I also think that our people need to be educated on the different choices that are available to them. So I know that the issue is now in the forefront. There's initiatives that are really trying to get this to our people, to get them educated on it, and an effort to make it happen.
All right. And if you were to vote for self-determination, what would you vote for?
To be honest with you, number one, I won't be able to vote for it. But to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, I've looked at what the statehood, independence, free association, what they all mean to our community, and it's something. So, like my previous answer, that people need to be educated more to be able to make the right decision on that.
Your wife could vote, though.
That's right, absolutely.
Same here, so we'll
That's
just
right.
ask our wives.
That's right.
I'm just joking.
That's right.
All right, and finally, why should people vote for you?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the people of Guam for the opportunity to serve them these past 3 terms now. And I want to ask them to, again, afford me the opportunity to be able to work on their behalf. I want to contribute more to, especially the healthcare of our community. We know that the problems that we've had, and these are decades-old problems. And so now, with a clear plan in place that I believe that we've been able to put on the table as a path, in working towards improving healthcare in our community, I would like to continue that. And I believe that if I'm blessed to have that opportunity in the next term, we'll be able to really make great progress in making that happen.
Senator, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You've been watching Coffee with the Candidates. I'm Clint Virgil, joined with Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr., and we're here at the beautiful Tenku Restaurant in the Leo Palace Resort.